Welcome to Merryfield's Gardening Advisor, brought to you by the experts at Merryfield Garden Center. Join us as we discover beautiful plants, new trends, and exciting ideas for your landscape. So let's get growing together. Merryfield's Gardening Advisor, bringing out the best in your garden.
Hello everybody and happy March. It is the first day of March here, the start of another new season. I'm your host, Debbie Warhurst-Kapp, along with the multi-talented Peg Beer. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Can you believe we're here, the 1st of March? That means spring cannot be far away.
It's come very quickly.
Well, today, like I said, spring is on its way. So, and of course that brings color. So you have a very colorful show for us today.
I do indeed, and I think it's needed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This has been a long winter.
Yeah.
So I walked through the shop and I thought, oh my, our design sections are so beautiful and so uplifting. How can I share the beauty of these artificial flowers and the things that we've got there? Mm-hmm. Because I use a lot of artificial flowers in my house.
Right.
I enjoy the arranging. I love the fresh. But usually the fresh are things that I pick in the garden mm-hmm. and tuck in the window right. mm-hmm. or wherever where I can watch
and they
over
don't last
them.
quite as long.
Nope. A little more maintenance there.
Right, absolutely.
I like the fresh,
mm-hmm.
yes. But I love these silks. For instance, look at this one on the door. Mm-hmm. Put something bright and cheerful on your door right now because it welcomes you, it gives you, it lifts your spirit. And the silks are fantastic. Again, I enjoy changing those wreaths on my front door with the season. Mm-hmm. Right at the moment it has the flowers and some pine boughs. They're all artificial. And little birds mm-hmm. on it because I'm very into the birds and feeding the birds and that's reflected with what's on my door, but it's bright and cheerful. And so I thought, I'm going to share that today and correlate, hopefully, mm-hmm. the flowers that are so beautiful that require no maintenance and you can do things with. And then what do they represent that you can do for outside?
Right.
To
mm-hmm.
give you beauty there.
Because it's time to get started
right
on those
now
as well.
we need an uplift here. Mm-hmm. But we also have to think ahead where our garden is concerned and prepare for that now. So that's what the show is all about.
And
today.
we have a lot of information for you, so no phone calls today, nope. But it will be well worth it, believe me.
Well, I'm packing a lot into this.
Yes. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Before we get started, just a couple of quick announcements. Want to let you know what's happening at Merryfield Garden Center today at all 3 locations, as we have been every Saturday since the middle of January, I guess. Our seminars are in full swing. So today at our Merryfield location at the intersection of Lee Highway and Gallows Road, well, actually at the Merryfield Community Hall, which is right next door to that location, Joel Cook is going to be talking about evergreens. You know, and you really can't have a garden without some evergreens in there. They're kind of the backbones, I think.
Yes, they are the furnishings.
That's right. So he's going to be talking all about evergreens. So that is at 10 a.m. at the Merryfield location. At our Fair Oaks location, Karen Rexroad is going to be talking about perennials with personalities.
And she can do that too. She's really into her perennials.
Yes, she is.
And there are some personalities. So she's always got a little flip side mm-hmm. that's most enjoyable.
That's
I'll be
right.
there, by the way, hopefully.
Great. Okay, good.
After I finish here, mm-hmm. which is going to take a little longer today.
Yes. That's right. That's what's so nice. They see you there, and then you go right back to the store,
and I'll say hello.
There you go. That's
yes. great.
That's at 10 a.m. at our Fair Oaks location. And at our Gainesville location today, Professor Larry Shapiro is going to be talking about pruning. Now, if it's warm enough, if it's nice enough today, he may take you outside. So be prepared. He may put you to work a little bit. So bring your gloves, bring your pruners. I'm not sure. He does that a lot. So
and I do promote this pruning thing too because this is a good time, a really good time mm-hmm. to begin some of this pruning, and you really need to know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can make a mess.
You can. Next week we've got 3 more great seminars: curb appeal, gardening in small spaces, and spring flowering trees. So as I had mentioned all along, the seminars continue on. They'll go through March at all 3 locations. They'll continue through April at our Gainesville location. If you don't have a copy of the seminar schedule, stop by and pick one up at the store, or go to our website, merrifieldgardencenter.com, because there's still a lot to learn about this winter.
Yes, it's wonderful to take advantage of those. Yes,
it really is. Want to mention also now that it's light a little later. And it's light a little earlier now too. Notice that coming in this morning. It's it's not dark coming into the studio.
I didn't have to turn on all the lights to get out of the house.
Exactly, exactly. So our hours are changing a little bit at Merrifield Garden Center. So we've extended them a little bit. Starting today and tomorrow, will be kind of a dark closing. So it's kind of a play it by ear a little bit closing from Monday through Saturday. So probably around now about a 6:30-ish type thing, but as long as you can see out there, we're there. That's Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday we're going to start staying open till 6. So Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. till dark for the next couple weeks. Sundays 9 to 6, and then time changes pretty soon, and so that will adjust things as well. Also wanted to mention that a lot of things are arriving now. We were talking about pansies, getting ready for the season. The plantable dormant roses have just arrived, so they're getting put out at all 3 locations. Great selection. So I wanted to mention that, speaking of roses, our friends at the Arlington Rose Society they have their meetings there quite often at our Fair Oaks location, and this Sunday, tomorrow, they've got a workshop going on. It's Know and Grow workshop. Learn how to plant roses and use the right products. So take advantage of that. That's at 2 p.m. at our Fair Oaks location. So
very good.
Announcements are over.
Well, we got a lot going on, and I particularly encourage you to take advantage of the seminars. But I also want to continue to share with you today, and put as much as possible into this, because there's a lot connected with it. These were arrangements that we did a couple of years ago, in reality, the pictures that I pulled. It's primarily the artificial narcissus, the daffodils, with some pretty branches and so forth, but it's also showing you how you don't have to have one huge arrangement. It can be a series of them, particularly if you're having an event with a buffet table, which is very effective. And we have some of the most magnificent tulips. I have some on the set, but I can't get my hands on them right now. Okay. And then the next picture, which does show more of the tulips and the fern and the hyacinths. It just says hello. And this is how you can have these arrangements, tuck them away when that season is over, and then bring out others that come later. But where these tulips and the hyacinths, which for real are so fragrant, if you did not get these bulbs in last fall, fortunately, with our changing way of marketing things, we have a lot of tulips that we potted up. Now, here again, I'm going to share with you today what we have a lot in stock, and a lot that will be coming in. And I was just really enamored with the beauty of these artificial peonies. A lovely arrangement can be made with the peonies, okay, and the lilacs, because they'll come late spring, okay. This is the next series, or I've got it right now anyway. But there's so much beauty in these. But in the next segment, I want to tell you not just the beauty of the artificials, but the beauty of them in your garden, and how you can use them in your garden.
Perfect.
So that's what's coming up next.
That's great. So why don't you stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Yes.
Look at that beautiful arrangement that we're showing here. This is actually, Peggy had, I guess, gone through and seen some of the beautiful flowers that we have at the nursery, and decided that she wanted something at her house. So she has made this to put at her house. So I don't know. You may not get it back. I may slip it in my car.
Well, the colors are so cheerful.
I know.
And I needed that, and it gave me a real upper. And it's going to keep
and the
giving me a
beautiful
real
container
upper.
too. Look at that.
And
wow.
you know, normally I don't put flowers in a container that has as much color as this one does.
But it works.
Wow, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Because there's a color pickup with every one of those colors.
Oh, you're right. There sure is.
And it really worked for me. So this is one reason I say feel very sorry for my children someday, because I accumulate all these things. When I get it in my mind to do something, I want to put my hands on it right then. Consequently, whoa, there's a lot. But arrangements. And we're right now going to talk about peonies out in the garden too. But first, let me show you the beauty of
amazing.
They're just incredible. I thought to myself, you know, I really could put these out in the bush. Nobody'd ever know the difference.
They stay as far enough back.
They're so beautiful.
They really, really are.
I love the artificials. And how do you arrange with those? The one that Debbie just showed you is so easy, because let me see if I can cooperate with this.
I'll hold this.
Please.
Okay.
Cooperate with all of this. Isn't that lovely?
I know.
Oh, it's pretty against your soft green shirt. Beautiful, beautiful. Often referred to as the queen of the garden, or one of the queens of the garden, you know. But so easy to do these arrangements. A little piece of foam and so forth put into a container, which helps to hold them. But in conjunction with that, again, I'm going to be talking about biennials and things you can start from seed also, because that's very important. A lot of these things that we love in the garden aren't available for sale outside because they don't bloom until late, and they're too hard to market. So you have to start them from seed. But look at the foxglove. You can start those from seed right now, or you can buy plants later. But let's say you need something nice and tall. Look how pretty that is to gather there. And then I happen...
It's like a wedding bouquet right there, just holding them together.
I know. This is an arrangement.
I know.
But they're pretty wedding bouquets too. And then I walked by an area that we have the artificial succulents. And I'm very into succulents. And boy, when spring comes soon, you're going to hear a lot about that.
Look at that.
But look at the contrast. It's a lot about contrast. Whether it's out in the garden or it's in your home. This is a beautiful succulent that's not hardy, by the way, but lovely in the garden nevertheless, in containers particularly. And look how nice that is. I really like, if I can get it where you can see it.
Look at that.
Lovely. And you can really arrange this very nicely in a container. I've almost got an arrangement in my hand.
You do.
You know?
And the stems are so nice and sturdy and easily worked with.
They're very sturdy. Now, we're not going to necessarily say that these particular ones are easy to work with. They're so well made, they're sometimes hard to cut. But you know what? If you have a problem, we've got a heavy-duty cutter at the Garden Center. We'll cut it for you.
There you go.
So, you know, you got it made. I do want to show these pictures, and so we'll have to go through them fairly quickly.
Out in the garden.
There's a new kid on the block. There are different kinds of peonies. There's the herbaceous peony that has been in gardens for centuries and so dependable. Dies to the ground in the wintertime. There is the wonderful tree peonies. That's a grafted thing. These two that you've seen so far are called the Ito, and they will be in April, I believe, because we have lots of peonies, but these are specific. Isn't that color gorgeous? Wow. Just incredible. Ito, they are crosses. They are hybrids, okay? And you can cut them back to the ground and they'll come back. With a tree peony, you can't do that. If you cut that back to the ground, it's history, okay? But not the case with the Ito peony. And in the next picture, this one is in my own garden. Absolutely one of my favorites. This is the herbaceous peony, the one that goes back to the ground and then comes back up again. And it's so nifty. I think the next picture is also in my garden and shows this peony. Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
In one area where I have enough sun to do it, okay? This is a single flowered one. they are magnificent when you cut them and bring them in. And I usually will just cut the buds and put them in my window over the sink so that I can enjoy them. But color pickups, think not just contrast. I love the peonies for that. Then you have something that's very difficult to find for sale in the garden center, and that's larkspur. The larkspur are absolutely magnificent. And I'm reaching over and I can't do it. All right,
enjoy the
larkspur. This is one you need to come in now and go through the seeds. I know there's one particularly that there's botanical interest, and there's Renee's Garden seeds, but there's some magnificent seeds. You can seed these outside, and yes, it's going to snow next week, but these things like cool soil.
Don't say that.
I think it is.
Don't say that.
Just as soon as you can work the top of the soil, you can plant these seeds in little places, lightly cover them, and chances are they will come right away and then bloom later. Okay, so larkspur is one of them. Let's continue with these and show you some of the others. This is one I did one year and just seeded allium, put alliums in and seeded in the foxglove, although a lot of these foxgloves aren't true perennials. They're often biennials. But look at the beauty of that. And in the next one, I want to tell you another class of thing that you need to seed. Just go ahead and sow these in place as soon as you can get outside, because they like the cool weather. The Iceland poppy, the California poppy. This is playing around in my garden with lavender, but in the next couple of pictures, which we'll go through fairly quickly, look at this. It's playing around with the bearded iris and some of the other perennials there. What a show it puts on, and blooms for a long period of time. That needs to be seeded in, because these poppies don't like to be transplanted. So buy your poppies and seed them in place. Even the bread poppy, you can do that. And the bread poppy is the opium poppy, but it's legal, okay? Here it is, as I said, playing around. They need good drainage. Lavender has to have good drainage, perfect drainage. And look how beautiful that is together. So I'm talking about put in these plants, seed in these plants, and we'll talk a little bit more about how you can seed some inside right now. But those are the ones you really need to seed outside.
Great.
And let them get growing. Save a few of those seeds so you can do it again in late August.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, when we come back, Peggy's going to go into our virtual garden with some great ideas. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Mary Fields Gardening Advisor, and to, as if Debbie had brought this in, she would have said, to my virtual garden, Deb. And it is. This is a garden that I really prepared not to have a perfect garden here by any stretch. It was a challenge. It's on the bank of a retention pond, and so there's a great slope to it, but the soil was really bad. So I've been working with that, and how would the plants react to that? So I've learned a lot with this area. It is an area that gets at least 6 hours of sunshine, full sunshine, some places more. And it's within this garden that you will see the iris, the bearded iris, the peonies, and we'll show you some of these as we go along. But also, the beauty of being right here right now in this virtual garden is I can show you where they are. The top of the garden here, where there's some little snow in summer, some little low perennials and some dianthus too. I really prepared this soil well so that the top of it would have exquisite drainage. And I've worked a lot of small stones and peat moss and even sand into this area. And it's mulched with small pea gravel, because these plants don't want mulch in their crowns. They'll rot if they do. There's lavender. There's the poppies. You see they've just seeded all in here. The orange poppies back here. So I just sprinkle those seeds around. And actually, once you've got them established, you don't have to do that. You just shake their seeds around. And they're easy to take up the extra ones, okay? You'll see bearded iris, and they have to have their little rhizomes on the top of the soil where they are baking in the sun. So they don't want to be hovered over by a whole lot of other things. They're queens in the garden too, along with the peonies. And they're ornamental grasses. But let's continue with this and see what else is there and how I've used these plants. Look at the poppies. Sometimes these things come up in areas that are much more attractive than if we chose to put them there. They put themselves there, but I sprinkled it all around. And so you've got the color pickup. This is a little later in the season when the Gloriosa daisy, which is actually a Rudbeckia hirta, not a dependable perennial. It almost always comes back. It's not sure. But seeding it around, shaking those seeds, or buying those seeds now. Later we will have this one in plants. Yes, we will. And it has a long period of bloom. And Cleome. Now, Cleome seeds itself around quite a bit, but fortunately it's very easy to pull up the ones you don't want, you know? And you can always select even the colors if you let it stay there. Echinops, which is a beautiful thing. Here's more. Isn't that Gloriosa daisy showy? And it's a wonderful cut flower. And the more you cut them, the longer they bloom. It's incredible. You will also find a couple of things already for sale. Go into the bulbs area. We've got a lot of bare root bulbs now in. That's something you can do and start them inside. And we'll talk a little more about that later. But there are also hardy gladiolus. And these always put on a show, and they're wonderful for cut. And the lilies, you can start those right away. You can actually plant those in. They're so hardy. But here I have Verbena bonariensis that I seeded in. It is a perennial. You can get it later, but you can seed it in too now. So let's roll through some of these. I'm trying to put a lot into this show. Echinacea. Wonderful plants will be available soon. Shasta daisies. These are midsummer bloomers, and they'll bloom for long periods. But look, here's that tall, one of my daughters calls it verbena on a stick, because it is. Stands up tall. Verbena bonariensis. You can start it now from seeds outside, or you can buy it later as plants. Let's continue. I think there we go. Look at this. This is a part of that garden also. Echinacea. This is one fantastic perennial. If you only have a small area, you have to make choices. This plant is a good choice. Another good choice that, as you can see, works well with it. Great contrast. The grasses give you motion also. This is Pennisetum Carly Rose. I like the name too. And another one, please. More Echinacea. Isn't that beautiful? With the grasses. And this one, you have no idea how beautiful that is. This one has lovely flowers in the spring. Hubrechtii. Amsonia hubrechtii. Remember that name. In the fall, it will be a vivid orange, but all summer, it's going to be this beautiful green. And look how pretty it is with these plants. Small spaces, make choices. Going to do small spaces seminar next week. Absolutely beautiful. And here, another color. Echinacea has gone wild. There's white, there's orange, and everything in between. And the seeded in fennel, which is wonderful. One of my grandson's absolute favorites. Again, you can see the Verbena bonariensis. I think there's one more right there. No, is that it? Wow, okay. Well, this is our virtual garden. We'll be back to talk about some more of these plants in just a moment.
Welcome back, everybody. We're moving things around on set here, and we're showing you some of the beauty that will be in your garden later, but that you can use this beauty inside now with these gorgeous silks. And we had an arrangement set up over here. Peggy brought it over and is going to show you parts of it, but she had taken this, she brought this in this morning. I've got to show this. We've got some beautiful scarves, and this, she had actually laid it over top of the basket. Maybe later on when we put it back together they can see that. But this, you were talking about color pickup.
Yes.
And these were one of the plants, the flowers that was in this arrangement. But you can see how that just picks that up, and then if you want to bring over one of the other colors so you can see the...
You can contrast it slightly because there's a tone of that in there. It's showing a little brighter than it actually is, but it does have a tone of the peach. And I love wearing these scarves. I'm a scarf person.
Yes.
And I just cannot believe some of the gorgeous ones that we have.
This is so old-fashioned.
Well, I love it.
It almost looks like the chenille type of...
and I'm one of those people that has a tendency to combine even fancy with everyday stuff. If I like it, I do it.
That's right.
Who cares?
That's right.
But
that makes it right.
I also use these scarves oftentimes as a pickup underneath an arrangement, the one that you had, which we won't do. But let's say that you did some of these beautiful dahlias in here. Wouldn't that make a wonderful throw underneath? So, versatile.
That's right. That's
versatility.
Right. All
yes. Right. And in this particular segment, because you have to be careful of open mics, I said, I'm packing so much into the show because there's just so much I want to share. Talking about the beautiful iris and the beautiful peonies and all of those things, I tried to bring along. In the last segment, I really shared with you the absolute beauty of poppies. And we have so many wonderful seeds. But the girls have brought in these gorgeous pillows.
Gorgeous, they
which
are.
You're accenting your color, whether it's inside or outside. This one is inside because these are artificial. And this pillow is a magnificent color pickup.
It really is.
If you need some spice in your life or in your room,
there you go.
Sometimes maybe you just need to change the pillows out for a change of seasons.
Right. Well, and not only inside, but out on your sun porch or your screened-in porch. A beautiful, kind of take you from inside to outside.
You would do that, and look how beautifully that goes. So I had to share that. I saw that pillow and I said, I've got to do that. Got to do that.
All right.
Now, in this segment, and earlier I said to you, oh my goodness, see, I've got to play catch up here with the incredible beauty of the tulips.
Oh yeah, you mentioned the tulips.
And so many different kinds. Aren't they magnificent?
Yeah. And you can get a taste of them inside, be ready for them as soon as they're
look at the
ready
beauty.
outside.
Look at the beauty of these echinaceas. And the echinaceas, in addition to the pinks that you saw, come in all these colors.
Yeah.
They're just
beautiful.
I love it, love it, love it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So let's go back outside and talk about a few more of the magnificent flowers that you have in your garden.
All right.
To explain a little difference, because we have the bearded iris and we have the Dutch iris in the silks. I'm probably going to get scolded for saying artificial because there may be a better word than that.
I know.
We'll call them silks, even though they're not really silk, I don't think. This is back in my own garden. It's important to know that iris, for instance, has so many different types of iris. In this one picture, there's the bulb that's put in the fall, the Dutch iris, which puts on a marvelous show, and by the way, makes a great cut flower also, so you want to plant extra. And then in front of it, the coordinating colors, exact colors, in that bearded iris. And you can see in the front of that border, there's dianthus in bloom, a long blooming perennial. Here is another type of iris. This one is a Japanese iris. It comes later, and in the growing season doesn't even mind, in fact enjoys lightly moist soil. Opens big and flat and gorgeous. Later blooming, okay? In the following picture, we're going to show you the Siberian iris. No, we're not. We're showing you. Sorry about that. This is the Dutch iris.
It's coming. It's coming.
Marvelous colors, shown with, again, the contrasting color, but complementary, of the bearded iris. And in the next one, I think this is going to be the Siberian.
Siberian.
Yes. This is a wonderful iris to work with, so easy. It's really clump forming and blooms for a really long period of time. You can see just one big clump of this puts on quite a show. The next one, I believe, shows it growing in conjunction with other things. Now you're back to the beardeds and the alliums. We will have alliums also potted up for spring sales. But before you leave this picture, I mentioned earlier at the chroma screen Amsonia hubrichti. That is on the far side of the picture with the blue blooms. And then it's a beautiful foliage for the rest of the summer. Now, the peonies are in bloom, but that's the peony foliage that's behind the allium blooms. The peony foliage is such a wonderful contrast. It's beautiful and supports the other flowers when they are in bloom, and is with those big leaves is marvelous. And I think there may be another picture or two. Let's go for the next one. Okay, here's that Siberian iris in full bloom with another bulb. Camassia. This is a native. The Indians used to eat the roots. I don't know if anybody eats the roots anymore, but when our Indian people had to make life the best they could, they ate a lot of native things, you know. And so this is beautiful together. And
here's
then
our last shot.
last shot. The beauty of foliage. This is the foliage of the bearded iris playing around with the Dutch iris.
Peeking through.
And that's what a garden's all about. It's about contrasts. It's about staggering your planting, and if it's a small area, you have to make choices.
Right. Okay. Well, speaking of choices, we got more choices for you when we come back. So we'll be right back. There, you see that put back together? Kind of. Not as well as you did it.
Kinda.
Kinda.
There's so many exciting things to deal with that we don't want to feel depressed about the snow on the ground.
That's right.
Again.
That's right. You've got prettiness. Pretty gorgeous flowers.
The garden is such a rewarding thing.
Absolutely.
And I enjoy our design department because the girls are always finding these unique little things.
I know.
For instance, and they're fun little things. They're very affordable little things. This is artificial parsley. And there are little bunnies all over the place. They've just had little bunnies everywhere.
The bunny
It's
theme.
just so cute. But you know, as long as you don't overdo this,
Right.
and see everything at one time, even if you've got a small garden, you can tuck things behind things.
Yep.
And you can enjoy some of these little things out in your garden too.
Right. Absolutely.
But you know, I collect little things, okay? And I have a nice little ledge, and I put a bunch of the little violas and a couple of little bunnies hiding in it on this, and I thought, oh,
Is this on your
at
sink?
my house? Yes, in the little family room.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I stepped back and I thought, oh, what a genius! That was just great.
If you do say so yourself.
Well, it just turned a corner that was kind of
Right. Into something beautiful and bright.
That's great.
There you go.
So that's what it's all about, you know. Let's talk about some other fun things. I believe on a couple of the bump shots, they got pictures of the artificial hydrangea, which I totally love. Here's the real thing. Again, I use my garden that's where I am if I'm not at work.
That's right.
You know? This is a border planting, and I try always, even with small gardens. Usually we need something to define our border, depending on what our circumstances are. We also need some privacy, at least in strategic areas. And so I have used a mixed border, which I love because I love plants. And I want things to bloom at different periods of time. There's many different kinds of hydrangea, and if you've got a small space, there's now those out there for you too, because there's some new ones on the market.
Right.
And it's playing around with forest pansy. Here is one that's up from that one, another magnificent hydrangea. Takes on some nice color in the fall too, and structure in the winter because the bark peels. Behind that is a crepe myrtle. And on the other side of it is a lilac, which isn't in bloom at this point, but it blooms beautifully. And so this is how you stagger your period of bloom. Now, wanting you to know how big a grouping of plants this is, in the next picture, we'll talk about a totally different kind of hydrangea. And I actually saw some pictures the other day and said to Chris Haggerty, who is in charge of a lot of the plants out at the Fair Oaks location, woo, here's a couple that I don't know. You know, we need a little conference to update all of us on what's coming in, because one person can't possibly know all of it, you know. This is endless summer hydrangea. And the beauty of this particular hydrangea is, if the buds get caught in a late winter freeze, it still blooms on old wood, which is wonderful. And we have no idea what's going to come out of this winter because we've had some very low temperatures, you know. We could be replacing some plants that we never dreamed of replacing before, but that's life, you know.
That's part of gardening.
And sometimes those things that you think are fine aren't. And in your neighbor's garden, they may be fine, because we have these little microclimates. I've got it at my house. I've got a couple of things that I'm not sure whether they're there or not. I'm not going to take them out right away.
That's right.
Going to give them a chance.
You never know.
But in another place in the garden, they're fine because of the microclimates. There is another plant that I do want to talk about in this segment before we leave, and that's bulbs. These are the tender bulbs. And it's just a joy to walk through the back of, what is the breezeway? Breezeway at Fair Oaks location, because it's loaded with lots of these bulbs. Dahlias are back in favor.
They are.
And I'm so glad. Available now from the bulbs. And then later we'll have a lot more varieties even in bloom. But you can start these inside right now. Take a look at the next shot at the variety that you get with dahlias.
Wow.
The only thing you have to do is keep these dead-headed to keep them in bloom until frost. And then it's safest to lift those bulbs and store them. And if you will come back to me, I think we have time in this segment, to show you something that is important, okay? So if you can come back to the desk. I've had so much to show. I'm really giving our camera person a workout today. These are the packaged bulbs, and this is a dahlia. Absolutely magnificent dahlia. Oops. It is so easy to start these from seed, but I'm hoping, without making too big a mess, I can get these roots out of here and show you something that you really need to know. When you take these out, you can plant this just as it is, and it will produce a lot of stems coming up and a lot of bloom. You can see the old stem from whence it grew. If you take these bulbs off of here and they don't have a piece of that little stem, they're not going to grow well. May not grow at all. I try, if I want to divide this, to use my good old Joyce chins and go in and very carefully clip so that there's some of that stem base with this, and probably make two of it. Now, if you put that in a container right now with drainage where it's warm and in the sunshine, it will begin to grow inside, and then you can put it
Transplant
outside
okay.
when the weather is no longer going to frost. So you can do that, or you can buy these now, put them where it's cool. A cool garage is perfect, and then plant them in when danger of frost is past.
And that'll be interesting to find out this year when the danger of frost will be passed.
I just have a feeling that we're going to get all this cold, and then it's going to turn very warm.
Yes, I think
and
you're
we're
right.
all going to say, "Whoo, it was nice back then when it was cool."
I think you're absolutely right. Okay, well, the hour is flying by, but we've got one more segment to share with you, so we will be right back after this break. Okay, we are back, and we've got, believe it or not, more beautiful color to show you. Not believe it or not.
Well, we do, and I'm really trying to show you some of the beauty right now that you can have, and some that you need to prepare for, because with gardening, planning ahead is very helpful, you know.
Well, and this is the time of year when everything is just starting to come in, so you get the excitement of spring coming along. You know, you've got the seeds, you've got, but you know, the hellebores are coming in, the pansies are coming in. It's just
all of these things, and the importance of going through these seeds, picking out some of those poppies, whether it's California or single or bred. Picking out some of the cosmos, picking out some of the larkspur, bachelor's buttons. Did I mention bachelor's?
No, you didn't.
Love in a mist. Did I mention that?
Didn't mention that either.
These are good. We'll turn these around. Here we go. Beautiful. These are what we call biennials. You need to seed a few out in the garden as soon as you can. Just barely cover them and kind of forget about it. And they'll come.
That's great.
I'm pretty sure. Unless it goes bone dry, which I don't think it will.
Yeah. Nope. I don't think we've got that problem for a little while.
No. Now, there's something else exciting going on in the garden, in my own garden, as a matter of fact. We have hellebores, which people have played with these hellebores so that they're just so exciting. So many different colors. But again, so many different varieties. You have the Lenten rose, which blooms first. And would, if it weren't covered with snow, be very big and beautiful right now. All those little buds are tight underneath because enough of the snow melted that I could see them, and they're all ready to pop. So they are going to come into bloom and may overlap a little bit with some of the later blooming ones, which are a different species of hellebores. And one of the beauties of these things are, the deer don't like them. Now, having said that,
if they're hungry enough,
there's a number of things the deer don't like. But you know what? We didn't have acorns this year, not at my house, and I'm hearing this from a lot of other people. And these deer are hungry, so, you know, if you're in question of anything, grab yourself some Bobex and follow the directions and spray. That's what works for me, okay? But let's talk about these hellebores, because we have many of these varieties in stock right now. And as soon as you can plant, you can put them in the ground. We will have next week, because one of the things that we do at the Garden Center is go out to our suppliers that grow these plants, have a look at what they're doing, know what's available, know what it looks like, and that's what we did last week. And so I brought back some of the ones that were in their greenhouse. Now, these plants have been grown without heat in their houses, but they are at the freezing level, which they will take. So if you come in and buy these plants and it's 0 degrees outside, you may need to leave them inside and put them back out and back and forth for just a few days until they're acclimated, because they are hardy. This is a new kid on the block. This is Winter Sunshine. It's different.
It's a very appropriate name.
Yes, it is.
Winter Sunshine.
It's different because it presents its flowers in an upward fashion. You look at the abundance of flowers that are in there. It's a beautiful plant. Now, I want to show you a very different plant. This one is another new kid on the block. It's called Winter Moonbeam. And the foliage on this is tremendous. It's beautiful. After it goes out of bloom, a long bloom period with these helleborus. Cut out the old leaves. That's all the maintenance you have to do. And then you've got the beauty of this. And guess what? There are even doubles among it.
Ah.
This is magnificent. Just beautiful, beautiful doubles. I love this.
What's the name on that one? Does it have a
pretty, I'm going to have to
specific?
look. It's
Yeah.
that new, Debbie. It's Winter Thrillers.
Okay.
It's all
This
the
is the winter series. Okay.
Now, this
And we've got about
particular
1
one,
minute left. I just want to give you a heads up.
beautiful foliage after they bloom. Wonderful in shade. Guess what? It's always good to find shade plants. So please, you can seed in lettuce now. This is great. Then you can come in and buy some of the plants and you've got two things going on.
That's right.
So just wanted to share with you that this time of the year does not have to be boring.
That's right. Be beautiful inside, get ready for outside.
I am going to pack up all this stuff. I'm going back to the Fair Oaks location, to Karen Rexroad's seminar on perennials, and I'll be happy to show you through.
That would be great. Stop by and see Peggy. She's there to share, I tell you. That's great. Thank you for a great presentation. So we hope we've inspired you. Also inspired you to go to the seminars because you can learn so much. As she said, Karen's going to be doing the perennials one at Fair Oaks.
Not to favor Fair Oaks.
That's right.
There's
That's
fun
right.
things going on at the other place too.
That's right. Evergreens and
wonderful
pruning at the other two. So next week we will be talking about making your landscape special. So Renetta Holt's going to be on, and she's going to be talking about some of the behind the scenes things. So we hope you have a wonderful week and happy March. We will see you next week. Take care.